Is, yeah.
I'm here too, Jim.
Hey, there we go.
We've got some folks arriving, so we'll kind of let this play out for a bit.
Okay.
Hi, Gail.
Good morning.
And I assume everybody got the email okay yesterday with the information?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
I
good.
did. No
I guess
problem.
that's a silly question because you're here, so. And while we're waiting, you know, I think I put this in the email yesterday, but if y'all don't have the LCR handbook, whether you print it or just have it online, feel free to, you know, access it because I'll be referencing it throughout the workshop.
Okay.
I printed
Sylvia.
mine out so I could put notes in it.
Sure.
Move that for just a second, please.
Hey, Frank.
Just down here. There's-
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I said hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Situate here. Give me the mouse, please.
Hey, Frank.
Thank you. Open this up so we can have full screen here. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna move.
We're getting a good turnout. This is great.
Yes.
How's everybody today?
Doing all right. How are you?
We're in the beautiful, we're in the beautiful
Hey.
sunshine.
Is that? Yeah.
You can't hear?
Yeah, I can hear you. Fine.
Kathleen, are you having a hard time hearing?
I don't think she can hear you.
I think Gail is muted, isn't she?
Hello.
Hello.
I-
Trying to see who said that.
Carolyn Morissette.
Hi, Carolyn. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
The Shins are here as well.
Hi, Shins. How are y'all?
We're good.
Good.
Now I can. Now we're good. We're good.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'll just wait just one more little moment for in case anybody's coming in.
shit. I think this virtual meeting is good because at least we get to attend. I'm all the way down in Key West, so it's
Oh,
more difficult to go to meetings on the mainland because it takes us at least quite a distance from to Miami even, you know.
All right, y'all. Well, I think looking like this is us, so I want to be mindful of our time. I'm hopeful to be done by 1 o'clock. And as a preacher, I don't always. You give me a time, and I'll go a little bit longer, so y'all can keep me accountable. So what I want to do, this is being recorded, and so I've had some folks who said they couldn't attend, but they wanted to be able to access this. So this is being recorded. So because of that, normally we take attendance to get everybody's contact information, and obviously I have your email address. But if you wouldn't mind just putting in the chat your name and the church you are with, and if you are the local church representative, if you can indicate that, please. And then I will reach out and then make sure I get contact information from y'all as well.
How do
and
we
what-
do that? Oh, yeah, okay.
So if you go to the chat tab on the bottom, if you move the mouse, it should show up at the bottom of your screen.
Chat.
So if you move the mouse on the bottom, there's a whole menu line that says mute, stop video, security, participants, chat, share screen. Well, maybe you don't have share screen, but I do.
I'm on my iPad. Does it have that on the iPad?
It should.
It looks
Oh, I
like a
see chat.
little,
I
yeah.
see chat, yeah.
You see it, okay.
So where do we put that in?
Yeah, so you'll just put in your name and then the church you're with, and if you are the local church rep there. If you're not, that's great too. So, but it's just a chance for us to make sure we have our record straight and all that. And I'll follow up with y'all afterward.
Mm.
And while we are doing this, if we could take just a moment and share our name. We'll just go brief because again, we got a lot to cover, but just our name and the church you're with. And if you're the children's home rep, and give folks a chance to kind of put names to faces. I'll start. I'm Ryan Frack. I'm the Director of Church Relations at the Methodist Children's Home. I am a pastor in the Florida Conference, and my role is working to find ways to strengthen the connection between the children's home and the local church. And a big part of that involves working with all of you as the children's home reps.
I see my name here next. So my name is Jean Howell, and I'm First United Methodist Church in Lake Wales, Florida. And I am the rep for our church.
Hey, Jean.
Hi.
Hi, I see I'm up at the top, Sylvia Henderson, and I'm actually in Delray, but my church is in Boynton Beach, and I am the church representative.
Thanks, Sylvia. Now, Sylvia, are you at Faith or First?
Well, it's kind of a shared congregation.
So you're at both, okay.
Yeah, Faith and First. Mhm.
I knew that the pastors there were at both, but I didn't know if the churches did a lot of work together or they just happened to share a charge.
I think we're trying to do more together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm Pat Gibson, Patricia Gibson, and I'm at Key West United Methodist Church, and I am the local church representative.
We're Frank and Darcy Shin from the First United Methodist Church in Lakeland, and we are the church representatives.
Afternoon, all. My name is Trish Benedict, and I'm out of Claremont, Florida, and I am the church representative.
I'm Gail Marsh, and I'm from Edgewater by New Smyrna Beach, and I am the local church representative.
I am Evelyn Brown, Chairs United Methodist Church, and I'm the local representative there. I don't know if you heard me.
Is there anybody else we're missing?
I'm Kathleen.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Kathleen Arciero. I am the rep for First United Methodist Church in Mount Dora, Florida.
Hi, I'm Crystal Gibbs. I co-represent the church in First United Methodist Church in Naples, Florida.
Crystal?
I'm Jim Parker, and I represent First United Methodist Church in Naples, Florida as well. And I see my picture on mine, but I don't see it anywhere else. So you'll just have to imagine what I look like. How's that?
I see your face.
That's up here.
My name is Ruth Burney, and I'm from the rep from our church in Tavares, Florida. I'm the granddaughter of a Methodist minister, great-granddaughter and great-great-granddaughter of another one.
Wow.
Wow. That's impressive.
Awesome. Well, as a pastor with kids, that gives me hope. So, well, it is great to be with y'all. Thank you for being here. And I love this. We've got a great mix of seasoned children's home reps. Folks have been doing this for a while, and then we've got other folks who are just rolling onto this position. And so, I really appreciate y'all taking the time to be here, and even more so for serving in this role. We also have our Director of Communications and Marketing, Mark Kobia. His face is muted, so he's not ghosting us, but he's helping me to administer the chat. There he is. So I told him I was going to call him out. So if you see another bubble and we're wondering why it wasn't talking, that's what's going on. So so a little bit of the overview of this time. Again, I referenced the LCR handbook. If you didn't print it, that's okay. But if you have it handy, it will help you, because I'm going to kind of be using this to guide our time together. The overview of our time together is really to talk about the ministry of the children's home, kind of our history, but also to get to the roles of the children's home rep. I'm sure this happened to none of you all, but sometimes there are folks who have said, hey, I was told I'm in this role and I don't really know what it means. Or I was asking around and nobody seemed to know what this means. Or we had somebody in our church who always did it this way. Do I have to do it the same way they do? So the goal is for you to leave here feeling more confident and empowered to kind of live into this role in whatever way best fits your gifts and your context. So does that sound doable for y'all? Sound good?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, as we begin, let us start our time together in prayer, shall we? Let us pray. Oh God, we are so grateful for your presence in our lives and for the call that you have given us to care for the children. I know that each person here not only does that in their own community and in their own churches and has their own call on their own lives, but God, also each of us here, most of us as a child were welcomed into the faith, or maybe not a child, but as a child of God and as a child at heart, at some point in our lives, we're welcomed in with that love. And so we pray that you would bless our time together. May it honor and glorify you. And as we leave this place, more eager to serve as the children's home reps, may we feel more confident about your work being done in your churches all around the conference. For it's in the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, to go over a little bit about the role of the children's home rep, and you'll see this on page 2, your job is kind of fourfold. See in there, basically you are the cheerleaders of the children's home. You are the champions of the children's home in your church context. And so obviously for you to learn more about the home, and we have some resources there so you don't feel like you're working at that without a net. We've got some things to help you with that, but educating yourself about the mission of the home, informing yourself about the needs, encouraging church to get involved, specifically donating financially if they can, inviting church members to visit the children's home. That's a weird request in a pandemic world, but we are getting there. Amen. So we're working on that. And then work with your pastor to make connections between the children's home, children, youth, and family in crisis and the children's home. That's the basic overview. And now living in Florida, I've lived in Florida almost my whole life, and a term that I've just taken for granted is snowbird, or we call them lovingly seasonal. And yet other states don't really have that. And so I was talking to some folks the other day and they kind of raised their eyebrow at that term, but we do have some folks, even children's home representatives, who are seasonal. So they are here for about 6 months or so, and then they are in another place. And if that is you, that is wonderful. And I love that you have that opportunity. Right now, you're probably glad in Florida. Maybe in a couple of weeks, it'll be nice to get away. If you are seasonal, the only thing we ask is that maybe you have somebody else in that role as well to walk alongside you. So that way, while you're away, nothing's missed in terms of connecting the church and the children's home. So that's kind of a little blurb there. There are some things that we can do, resources that we offer to help support you all in your church in sharing with them about the ministry of the children's home. So you'll see this on page 3. We will preach as I mentioned, I'm a pastor in the conference. Preaching is no problem for me. Our chief development officer, our president, CEO, they go out and do presentations as well. And so we would love to do that. Many of y'all, I have preached at your church before. I've done a mission moment at your church before. So we love getting to do that. Obviously, that would need to be in consultation with your pastor, because I know that pulpit time is very precious, but we love to do that. If there's any group that you would like us to present to, it's not only the whole church, but men's group, women's group, mission group, UMW, youth group, whatever. We love to share with folks about the ministry of the home. And it gives us a chance to put a face to a name, to answer any questions, and most importantly, to say thank you. And so we love getting to do that. If you'll see, if there's some folks that are very crafty and creative. And so some of the ways they like to advertise about the children's home is putting together like a display or a bulletin board or something like that. We don't put together the displays, but we will supply you with all supplies you need to make said display. So we have, our quarterly Herald, and these share, it's kind of our magazine. It's really well done, shares some happenings at the children's home, some interest stories. We have some thank yous in there. We have our brochures. We have some fast fact information. There's some other things as well. If you need any of these things, please don't ever hesitate to give us a call. My information is in the handbook, and ask me, hey, I need X number of brochures or this many heralds, or if you can send me these things, I'd be happy to do that. We also have videos that we put together that are on our YouTube page. So if you go to youtube.com and type in Florida United Methodist Children's Home, we are there's a couple of children's home channels. We're the one with the most videos, like 80 plus videos. And we put those together in conjunction with every fifth Sunday, but you can use them any time of the year. And we've gotten really good feedback on those videos that let us know, hey, these videos do a really good job of trying to connect the support folks give to the children's home with the impact that is being made. And so oftentimes we try to get an alumnus or a child that we serve that we have permission to film to share what the children's home has meant to them. And that's what people really want to hear, is what difference is being made. So we will do that. Normally we do campus tours. Again, we will get there soon. So there's lots of things we offer, and you can find other aspects of our ministry at our website at fumch.org. Any questions so far before we move on?
No.
Yes.
Gail?
Yes. Do you ever bring children to the other churches?
Do we ever bring children to the other churches? So we have in the past, and there are some situations in which we do, and of course this is pre-COVID, but we have always tried to kind of balance the need for folks to connect with the ministry and to kind of let folks know how much we appreciate their support, and sort of a return on investment piece to let folks know the mission they're supporting, while also maintaining the normalcy of a child. Oftentimes it can get tough when it feels like we're sort of parading them around the conference, when we don't want to do that. And I know that's not what you're asking, but what we found is actually those videos have helped us with that, and that they do put a child's face or a young adult's face with the ministry of the home. But with that, there are some exceptions we've made, but it just depends on the case. And so if you want to give me a call about specifics, feel free to do that. So that's kind of how we've approached that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Frank Shan, I comment, if we can't get the children to the church that Gail just spoke about, I'm reminded when we were able to go to the campus during the Christmas make and take. I know you have another name for it, but that's what I call it.
Right.
The point is that we got such an involvement with those children. You talk about one-on-one stuff. If you are looking for a feel-good day, those are fun days to do it. But when we're able to do it again.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Frank. Yeah, what Frank's talking about is we call it our Santa's Workshop, but I love Make and Take. That's a cool name. Essentially, it's an event where we have churches sign up to essentially staff a table, and they bring crafts that they provide the supplies, they provide the expertise in teaching how to do it. But the whole purpose is for the kids to make gifts to give to loved ones or family members. And we have a variety of things. There's a group that always does pillows, and they'll have 3 of the sides of the pillows stitched, and then they'll stuff them, and the kids will stitch the end. And then we have a group that does slime, and you would not believe how much the kids love making slime. So those are cool opportunities to do it. And I will say, since Frank mentioned it, or since Frank spoke up about the Santa's Workshop, personally, my home church is First Lakeland. I grew up there. And my first interaction with the children's home was on a confirmation trip we took years ago. And so I mentioned coming to visit the campus, and that really is a huge part of connecting with folks. And who knows, I know there are many pastors like myself around the conference who first connected with the home through a visit to the children's home, and may have even started their call to ministry through the children's home. So wanted to take that special type of privilege since Frank lobbed the softball to me. So any other questions before we move on? Okay, so as we continue on, again, I shared the overall role of your of the children's home representative. Essentially, we want, it's always best, we find, and y'all may find this in your churches, if you have one point of contact. There are lots of people we connect with at the church, but if we know there's somebody we can connect with, that's who we gear our our monthly newsletters to. That's if we have questions about some things going on in the church. I'll obviously reach out to pastors, but even in the church, oftentimes you are that main point of contact for the church as well. And so that's what we found, is it gives folks a helpful kind of centralizing point to connect with for the children's home. So when it comes to the aspects of the ministry components of the children's home, you'll see this on page, what page is it? 4. We have our residential care program. And for many folks, this is kind of what they associate the children's home with, because this is how we began. Folks, children actually living on property, being cared for by adults while they're here. In our residential care program, we serve kids ages 6 to 17. That is both here in Enterprise. Excuse me, y'all know where Enterprise is? It's Deltona area, Volusia County. I didn't know we had an Enterprise in Florida until I came to work here. But so we're in the Deltona area. And with the residential program, they are essentially learning about living in a stable and loving home environment. And so they're living with other children, there are staff there as well. For most of our cottages, currently we have a house parent model where each cottage has 2 sets of house parents. One works for a week and then they're off for a week and the other set comes on. We also have our second residential campus is about an hour east of Tallahassee, called the Madison Youth Ranch. And Madison is identical to Enterprise in almost every way. They serve the same demographic. Therapists, house parents are there as well. The one thing that really sets Madison apart is that we actually do equine assisted psychotherapy right on property. And so Madison has got some really cool things going there. We have an emergency shelter program, both in Enterprise and in South Florida, that opened or that we took over starting in September of last year. If you know anything about the foster care system, you'll know that if a child gets removed from the home for things like abuse or neglect or abandonment, while the case managers and the judges are working out long-term placement options for them, in the meantime, they're in need of what's called respite care. So a stable place, food, shelter, things like that, while those long-term details are being worked out. Those shelters are a little bit different from our residential program in that we have shift staff who are working there, because we need folks that are essentially on call 24/7, because we can and do get referrals even in the middle of the night. And so the kids in our emergency shelter are typically there a much shorter amount of time. And then most of the time they will move out of the program, though sometimes they do move on campus here. We also have a therapeutic group home that goes one step above in terms of serving the mental health needs. It's a higher level of care there. To help the kids prepare for the time after they leave our care, we have our independent living program, and that includes taking independent living classes as well as being a part of our vocational program where they can actually not only learn some skills, but have employment here as well as off campus. Once they age out of the program at 18, if they want to still live here, many of our kids are a part of our on-campus school when they turn 18. And so there's transitional housing they can apply for, as well as some scholarship funds as well. We do have an on-campus school and an education department. Our on-campus school is called Legacy Scholars Academy. And it is a Volusia County school. It's considered a contract school. It's not a charter school because it's not open to the public, but it's not an alternative school because it's not just dealing with discipline issues. It serves our children. And it's been going really well. It's been around since 2014. And they have the ability through that program, if they want to, kind of like homeschool, if they want to be a part of extracurriculars, things like sports or band or things like that with the local high school. So there's some things going on there to make sure their educational needs are met. One of our largest areas of ministry is our foster care ministry, where we serve 5 counties across the state. We're in Volusia, Flagler, Broward, Palm Beach, and in Hillsborough, we actually do therapeutic foster care. And so that is, like I said, one of our largest areas of ministry. We have a Montessori-based preschool program, or our Early Childhood Education Development Center, that serves community children, staff children, and foster children right here in Enterprise through a Montessori-based preschool program. We have our resale shop, which is about 5 miles north of Enterprise in Orange City. All of the proceeds go to support the children's home. And that also is the place where our kids do go shop for clothing if they need that. And so we're really, really excited about the things that are happening in Heart and Home. And we actually have outpatient counseling services that we offer through an organization that is now a part of us called Circle of Friends Services. They serve 10 counties across the I-4 corridor from Brevard all the way down through the I-4 area, through even like the Pinellas area, I think Hillsborough also. And so our ministry is continually expanding to better serve the needs of the children and families around us. So with that, I realize this is kind of like drinking from a fire hose. Any questions y'all have about this stuff?
One question for me. This is Crystal Gibbs. You said,
Crystal.
hey, you said you did a school since 2014. What did you do beforehand for the kids for education before that?
So before we had Legacy Scholars Academy, our kids went to local public schools, and some of them still do for specialized programs. You know, I'm a product of public schools, many of us are, and one of the best things that schools offer in addition to the educational training is a chance for kids to get away from home. They get to see a different environment, and that's for all kids. And that certainly was great for our kids as well. What we found over the years was that while the school teachers in the schools were wonderful in working for our kids, you know, if you're involved in education, this isn't news to you all, that our teachers are sort of spread incredibly thin. They're expected to do and be everything. Their classes are kind of slammed full, and that's not throwing on top of it some of the extra needs that our kids have, and kids who have experienced trauma like the ones that we've served. And so we, in 2014, wanted to try something different to see if there was a way that we could better serve the kids that might have fallen through the cracks in the public schools. And so that's how that came about. But actually, our kids in Madison still go to local public schools. So we certainly have a good relationship with the local public schools.
When the kids are in your care and they go to the public schools, does the parents know where they are, or do they, because for their safety?
Do the parents know? So in most cases, I would say most of our kids, their parents are still have parental rights of the children. Some of them don't, but for those cases where they do and where it's safe for them to have contact, we absolutely encourage that involvement with the parents and the kids there. Because what we found is that, again, in most cases, there are some exceptions where the abuse is really extreme and traumatic. But in most cases, studies will show you that it's in the best interest of the children to be back home with the parents. So there is very open communication with the parents and encouragement with them to stay involved in the kids' lives. Because what we find is that many of our parents just lack the resources to be good parents. Oftentimes they haven't seen what that looks like modeled in their lives. They might be spread thin in terms of being a single parent and caring for multiple kids, and so are not as present as they'd like to be. And so what we find is that by working with them, they're able to be the parents that they want to be. So yes, if we have that good relationship with the parents and they're on good terms, they absolutely would know where the kids are going to school, and we're transparent with that.
Well, thank you for my 2 questions. Thank you.
Sure. So let's move on. I saw Kathleen's question about the day on campus. We will cover that. So we'll continue on. If you flip to page 3, one of the things that we do, and something you can do in your role, in many people will say, hey, I'm the children's home rep. How can I get my church more involved? One of the ways we do that is there is actually, this was given out by the conference, and it's been around for years. It's called the Goal of Giving. We are not an apportioned ministry. If you all are in the Methodist Church, the term apportionments is something that you are probably familiar with. It supports various ministries around the conference. We have a great relationship with the conference, and we are actually considered an advanced special. So they promote us, they celebrate us. We have a good partnership with them, but we are not an apportioned ministry. And so we kind of the number given to each church, it's the goal of giving meant to gauge the level of church's involvement with the children's home. And so since 2007, the goal of giving for each church is $12 per member per year. So if you ever want to know what your church's goal of giving is for that year, if you find out whoever turned in the year-end membership figures to the conference, and that was due just the end of last month, take that number, multiply it by 12, and that will give you your goal. And that is what we use when you do Fifth Sunday offerings, when you do individual donations, all of that gets contributed to the church's goal of giving. And so that's something, what I've found is that, folks love to give in the church. And one of the best ways to get folks involved in giving is when you give them a specific goal to work towards. And so if you ever want to know not only what your goal is, but how your church is doing towards its goal, give me a call. I'd be happy to give you up-to-date information. You can also check out, we have a church giving report we put out, and I will actually put this information in the chat. Oh, no, that's not the right info. We have a, let's see, I'm going to put on our website, put a link to our website. It's our, if you want to access it from where you are, you would go to our website, then type under the, click on the Making a Difference tab, and then on the Church Relations tab. And I'm actually putting it in the chat now. If you go to that page and scroll down, you'll see Church Relations. And on the bottom, there is an interactive map. And so if you click on whatever district you are in, you will actually pull up the goal of giving. And we try to put that in quarterly. And so if you ever want to know how your church is doing in that quarter, you can click on that. And I will tell you, if your church has I want to be careful how I say this. If it has a common name, it's not an ordinary name, but just a common name, First United Methodist, Christ United Methodist, Asbury, we list it a little differently. So let's say I'll pick on Trish for a moment. Trish is at First Methodist in Claremont. So instead of looking for First United Methodist, Trish is going to look up Claremont First United Methodist. And so that's one of the ways for you to do that. I've had folks look and say, wait a minute, I don't see my church. So you start with the city and then the church name, and that will give you the updated information. But if you ever want to know information between those quarterly updates, just give me a call, and I'd be happy to give you that updated information. And I will tell you, we not only credit the giving that the church gives to us directly, but we do what's called soft crediting. So that means, let's say you're a member of your church, but you give a donation to us directly to us. You don't give it through the church. If we know that you're connected with your church, or you write on the subject line, I'm a part of First Methodist Claremont or First Lakeland or whatever church, then that church actually gets credit for that. So if you want to let folks know about that as well. So the goal of giving is a big part of encouraging folks to get involved in financially supporting as well. Yes, Pat.
Ryan, is that soft crediting is also goes into towards your goal? Is that right?
It does. Yeah. So any money that, so we credit it towards your church giving, which then, when you measure how that church giving fits against the goal, it certainly is measured against that. So
thank you.
You're welcome. And there are, you'll see on some of the ways for folks to get involved financially, you'll see on page 6, the Fifth Sunday offering is actually something that began 2 years before we were founded as a way to raise funds for the children's home. And it continues on. So we do a Fifth Sunday offering every month that has a fifth Sunday. And so there was one in January, the next one is in May. Even though I will tell you, even though December doesn't always have a Fifth Sunday offering, we always put kind of a drive together as if it was a Fifth Sunday offering for Christmas. And so if you ever want to do a Christmas Eve offering, that's always a great way to get involved. But when we do that, we send out information and we have some supplies we put together. We have bulletin inserts, which I know there's kind of a shift lately because many folks are going paperless through COVID. And actually some folks were going paperless even before that. So we also have electronic Fifth Sunday supplies available on our website. So if you go on that same website I sent you up at the top, the first tab down under church relations, you'll see the poster or the insert and you can click on that. So you could take that and send that out through a newsletter. You could manipulate it and put it on Facebook. Again, many churches have been wanting to go green, so there are ways to do that. But we do offer bulletin inserts. We offer posters, which are much larger and won't be shown in the screen. I'm just showing you one from December. We also have pew envelopes, but again, some folks are not using pew envelopes right now. So if you ever need supplies, please give us a call because we don't know to update it until you tell us. And that is a big part of your role as the children's home rep. I will say also, I've had some folks say, hey, listen, I've got pew envelopes that will last me through a year. I don't need pew envelopes right now. Again, we won't change it until we know. So if you give us a call, we will update that. So please give us a call, keep us aware of that. There's also direct giving. People can give through our website. We have text giving. So if they text the word Spark, Spark is the name of our youth group. So, excuse me, we thought that was a nice connection. If they text the word Spark to 50155, that's a way to give. You can give in honor and memory of somebody. You can do our Path of Hope, both in Enterprise and in Madison. If you've ever been to our campuses, you will have probably seen outside of the chapels, we have bricks with people's names on it. And so you can, or churches' names or other people's names. So you can honor people that way through giving to the Path of Hope. And you can find out information with that number there. There's in-kind giving. So any types of donations you want to give. I know many of y'all's churches have been involved in doing that. Many of you yourselves have delivered those things here. And so you can do that. We see that a lot at Christmas time during gift cards as well. And then we do estate and planned giving as well. So that's a big, yes, Frank.
Ryan, I have a question. With the COVID issue for it is second year now, I got to assume, give you a chance to get a drink of water. I got to assume that the giving is down. I may be wrong, but I know that Darcy and I have not been in a church since the beginning of this, and we do everything online or videos for Sunday school and everything, and still trying to stay involved with the children's home. I'm just wondering, the emphasis needs to be now on online giving because we just started going back to church, in person. I think it was last week, but no, Darcy and I, or this week, sorry. And my point is that there's a whole bunch of people. Normally, every fifth Sunday, we get our bulletin, and inside there would be one of them envelopes, which were really great to get a response per se. Because people forget, but those things were helpful. But right now, that's not happening. Is the children's home suffering now because of this issue?
There's no question that it certainly affected us financially, as I'm sure it affected all of your churches. I will say last year, our church giving was down about 18.5% of what it normally is. And again, I'm sure all of your churches are in the same spot. And I think, we all kind of pivot and respond. But yeah, there's no doubt it affected that. And we responded much like many of the churches did as well, adjusted our budgets, made changes accordingly. But we're very adamant about still getting the word out about the children's home. And actually, the need for online giving was there before COVID. I think COVID just revealed it. So we've been trying to really emphasize the Fifth Sunday videos and stay connected virtually and promote online giving as well. And in fact, our text to give has been an option for that, as well as because the company that does our text to give also does our giving through our website as well. So we try to promote that as well. We do promote that on Facebook. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right that COVID has certainly changed the way in which not only we're worshiping and serving and giving currently, but kind of here on out. I don't know that there's ever any full going back. Even when we do get back in person, it's going to look different from here on out.
I was just thinking, this is Crystal. I was just thinking that maybe we could have our pastors in our e-blast to put about the donate for the children's home. I think if any churches who are listening if they do an e-blast, I think that might be a good idea. So that way we can get you the money that you need to help with the children.
That's a great idea. And, we put out information, once we get your email addresses, if we don't have them in already, you will start receiving our monthly newsletter. I put out a newsletter called The Link, and it is meant to keep you all informed of happenings here at the children's home. So we write probably 2 or 3 articles about current events that are happening, maybe some upcoming things going on. It keeps you abreast of what's going on. In each article, we have things that are consistent every time. We have a needs list. So we update our needs list based on what the current needs are for that month. We have a testimonial from an alum who has lived in our care, or maybe from their parents, to share about the impact of the home. And then we also have a planned giving article. And we share those things with you all, not only to keep you informed about the children's home, but also to equip you so that, because you'll find, if you haven't already, if people find out you're the children's home person, many times they'll stop you and say, so what's going on with the children's home? And instead of having you sort of have to scrounge around and do that research yourself, we try to keep you as equipped as possible so that you can say, oh, it's funny you asked. I just got information about that. They're doing this. Or if you're somebody who feels comfortable speaking in front of the church, we've had folks get up there and read the testimonial from the kids that we share. Anything that we print from a privacy perspective, we change the kids' names. We only release pictures of those that we have permission to do. So the name that we give you, feel free to use, because most likely it's not their name anyways. The story is the same, or the story is real, but what we find is that folks find it a lot more personable to talk about somebody's via name versus like the child or the resident. So that's why we do that. So just know that information is there for your benefit, so that like Crystal said, if the pastor does an email blast, or if you if your gift is not speaking, if you'd rather do many things than get up in front of people and speak, your gift might be just championing the home by staying in front of the pastor and reminding them, hey, don't forget to mention the children's home, or leading a tour up here, or sharing stories about the children's home. Anything that lets folks know about the mission that they are making possible through the children's home, you can certainly do that. And that's what the link is meant to help you to do. So you will get that information as well.
So Ryan, I hope I'm on your distribution, because I'm new to this role. And those are some of the things I've asked them to put the children's home on our main page, so that when people land, they can click and get more information. But I like the e-blast, less passive and really just trying to reach out. But I was curious, if $12 doesn't seem like a lot, but how is the home funded? Like, what is your primary funding source?
So we have, well, first of all, regarding being on the email blast, we will add you to that shortly. And that comes through constant contact. So if you don't get the email, check your spam folders. And if you have any issues, give us a call.
Okay.
We do offer printed versions of that. I don't recommend it just because we're only limited to one page front and back. So if it's more information, it just ends up getting cut off. So yes, we will certainly add that to it. Regarding how we're funded, we have about 5 funding streams. Certainly our church funding is a huge part of the children's home budget and historically has been a big part of what we do. That comes through Fifth Sunday offerings, but also individual donations, individual donors. We do have grants as well that people will do. We do about 80% of our children in our residential care program are placed through the state. So we do receive some state funding. Let's see, I said church funding, grants, state funding, individual donors. I think I'm missing something, but I don't know that I am. So yeah, so there's multiple streams of funding there. And so did I say grants?
You did.
Yes.
You did.
And so so there, yeah, so it's kind of a conglomeration of not conglomeration, it's a collection of those sources of support.
Okay.
So
how many children are on campus right now?
So that number shifts weekly. You know, anytime people ask us that, and I will say our numbers are down a bit because of COVID. But between our Enterprise campus, our Madison campus, and our 2 emergency shelters, we're at about 70, 75 right now. Normally we average about 75 just on our 2 Enterprise and Madison campuses. But that number really changes weekly.
Okay.
So.
And that was, you kind of answered the question about the state oftentimes is how the children get. I wondered how children get into the homes. And I actually work with the Safe Place in Palm Beach. That's how I got involved. Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're really excited about Safe Place, and Tracy down there is doing a great job. And we've been trying to better connect with the local churches as well. And so, yeah, I got to meet with Pastor Parker and Pastor Matthew last year to talk about the connection with Safe Place. So this is great. And another way folks can get involved, and again, we are very confident we'll get back to this soon. This is on page 7, is to invite folks to see the children's home. This is one of the best ways to get folks excited about it because it's not something that becomes out of sight, out of mind. They can see it, they can touch it. It's not just a ministry out there. It's something that is right in front of me. So we do campus tours normally throughout the week, again, pre-COVID, and we'll get back there soon. So you can call the development office to schedule that. And we also do a big event, and this is what Kathleen had asked about, every year since really it began in 1983 in conjunction with our 75th anniversary. And then we stopped after 83 because it was just a one-time thing, and folks wanted it so badly that in 85 we started it back up, and it's been going every year ever since. And so Day on Campus is normally a full day-long open house event on a Saturday, and it's a chance that really for you to see the ministry up close. And so there really are 2 purposes of Day on Campus. To highlight all the aspects of the ministry and to say thank you. And so we love for folks to come. Obviously with COVID, we made the difficult but necessary decision to cancel it out of safety of everybody. But this year we will have one. It is just virtual. And so it stinks that you won't be able to get on campus. I know many folks are zoomed out and I get it. But one of the benefits is that you can attend right from the comforts of Lakeland and Mount Dora and Palm Beach County and all these places. You can be, and in the Keys, I know Pat's here too, you can attend from the Keys. And so that is on Saturday, March 27th, if you want to mark your calendar at 10 o'clock. And we will actually be putting it on our website, or I'm sorry, on Facebook. And so it'll be pre-recorded, but we'll have folks online in the chat engaging. And so if you want to attend that 10 o'clock, it will also be on our YouTube page as well. And so that's a chance for folks to see all of the ministry. And this year, even though we're going to miss seeing people in person, it'll give us a chance to get a little more up close because of the video aspect. And so we're excited about that. If you want to spread the word with your church, they can do that. And it's a cool way to celebrate the ministry of the children's home. So that'll be on March 27th. Normally we rotate districts on who we specifically send our materials to every year. Everybody is welcomed every year in the on-campus event, but we just kind of alternate who we invite, because we found when we would invite everybody every year, you get the same pieces of mail from the same organization every year. It starts to glaze over, and you just kind of take it for granted. So we had gotten the suggestion years ago to kind of move it around. So when you see those dates and who's invited, that doesn't mean it's limited to them. That just means that's normally where we hold our in-person LCR workshops and where we send our collateral that year. Yes,
I have a question. The virtual, is that going to be for the day on campus? Will that be via Zoom, or will it be a webinar, or how will that?
So that'll be on our Facebook page. So it will be pre-recorded. We thought about Zoom. We thought about some other things and how to put that together. There was a lot of thought that went into that. But for the purpose of it running smoothly and for folks to access it as easily as possible, we felt like the best way to do it was to pre-record it. And there will be testimonials from an alumnus, from our foster family, from hearing from various aspects of our ministry, hearing some songs from our kids. And we actually have some virtual tours. So even though you won't be able to tour in person, Mark, our director of marketing communications, did a lot of work putting together our virtual tour for Enterprise and Madison that will both be there on that event.
But if you're not on Facebook, I'm not on Facebook, how would you?
So what we can do then, because it will transition over to our YouTube page. So it'll be on, you'll access it just like you would access one of our videos.
Okay, that sounds good.
Oh, Mark's chiming in.
The man just came out from behind the curtain. So in addition to putting it on Facebook, it will reside on YouTube. As Ryan said, it'll also be available through our website, but we will send outbound emails to everybody. We have email addresses for to provide them the link also.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So much.
Kathleen asked how long it will be. Normally it's obviously a day. We're not going to ask people to sit online for a day. So we've kind of condensed it down. So Mark and I have worked really hard to put together a schedule that is substantive, but also that, limbs don't start falling asleep because you're sitting down for too long. So, so it is going to be probably about, we were shooting for between about an hour and a half. So I think it might be even a little less than that. So it's not too long of a time commitment, but it really, we're excited about what we have to offer, and seeing the videos so far, I think you're in for a treat. So, so yeah, if you want to advertise that with your church, with your pastor, we're really excited about that.
Cool.
And so with that, I kind of wanted to, that kind of is, well, and you'll see also on our, on the next page, on page 8, there is a list of key staff members there for you. And it lists out who does what. If you do donations, you already know that at some point you're gonna interact with Lynn. Lynn does wonderful things. Same thing with work groups or volunteering. If you ever want to bring a group here or in Madison to volunteer, to do a mission work group, we love that, and it's really needed. So Lynn deals with that. I do church relation stuff. So we have a lot of folks working together on these kinds of things. So that, in a nutshell, and I know we've covered a lot, but that is the overview of your role in as the children's home rep. So do y'all have any questions about what your role is?
Not really a question, but our next this Sunday is going to be May, I think.
It's in May,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
It's in May and then August, I believe.
Just as some information from my church, what I try to do is put it in our monthly newsletter that, hey, you don't have to wait for this Sunday offering. You can make a donation in memory or in honor of a loved one or a friend or something like that. So we put that in our monthly newsletters, and hopefully that stimulates some interest and more donations coming in through the church too. Just wanted to add that.
Oh,
That's a
that's
great
great.
idea.
And
I mean,
that's what I
that's a
wanted to
real-
ask. Does anybody have any question or have any, like, want to brainstorm on some things and share some things that have been working? And Pat shared something they do. There are other churches that, you know, Christmas gift cards are a huge way to support at Christmas time. But we've had a couple churches approach us in July in the middle of the summer, and they say, what about the gifts? You know, what about the things the kids need in the middle of the summer? So they've actually done Christmas in July events where they would take up offerings then. We put together an Amazon wish list that we made available for folks to, it's kind of like a wedding registry or a baby registry. It's really cool where, you know, our house parents have actually asked the kids and they put together things that are needed. And then it's kind of a real time interaction once those gifts are purchased, you know, to make sure you're getting the kids the things that they need. So those are some things that folks have done. Anything that y'all are doing in your church that you want to share that's been really helpful or folks have liked? Hey, Trish.
Yeah, one of the things that we started a couple years ago before COVID hit is called Serve the City. So it was started quarterly, it's gone monthly, and sometimes depending on what the need is for the local community. But quarterly, we try to also work in the children's home. And before COVID, you know, when we were able to get together, we would have activities where folks would put crafts kits together. So cutouts or whatever, put it together for the different age groups. I would get with Lynn to find out, okay, what age groups, how many kids, you know, how many boys, how many girls, so we can kind of get an idea. And then got those delivered to you. And from my understanding, those went off really well. We did that, I believe it was done around springtime, spring or Easter time, something like that. I know school is still in session though.
Yeah, I preached at your church, or I presented at your church during Serve the City, or right after Serve the City, and it was, I think, around springtime, getting into summer. It was cool.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we have done is share in service the history of the church, the children's home, building a story that begins in the early 1900s and has been doing this good work for so long. And it helps people get a reference point that this is just not something new. You know, this is 100 years old or so now. So verbalizing that or getting it in the bulletins, I think, has been very helpful.
Awesome.
Is there a video on that?
We've never produced one. There may be one with within the home. Is there a video within the home records
Of the just
of
of
the
the children?
history, the pictures of the history and the first buildings?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's been a few years now. I think it was in conjunction with our 100-year anniversary, so it's been about 10 years ago. But that is also on our YouTube channel, and it goes over. It was really well done of how we were founded. There are some old pictures. It's really cool. It's a longer video, but it's pretty good. And so you can find that on our YouTube channel.
It was always playing during day on campus.
Yeah, it was.
Mhm.
It was. You know, there are some ministries in there that we don't currently offer. Like I believe it talks about adoption services. We don't do those. And some other things, but in general, it gives you the gist of the ministry of the home and how we were founded.
I think those Fifth Sunday videos, little short ones that are like 2 to 3 minutes or something like that,
Yeah,
they have proven to be, I think, present more to the congregation and those watching online what's happening at the children's home. They've been very effective, I think. Yeah.
good. I'm glad to hear that.
We look forward to seeing any new ones that come out too.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because we've heard from folks in the past that say, hey, your videos are great, but they're too long. Or, hey, your videos are great, but don't tell us just about the programs. Tell us about the minute, the impact. And so we've tried to shorten them. For each video, for about 1.5 years now, we've put together 2 versions of each video, about a 1.5 to 2 minute video, and then 4-minute video. And that way, you know, if your church is very tight on announcement time, you can say, hey, we've got the short video, you can show this. There are other churches that if it's the children's home or if it's another ministry, they'll give you all the time you need, and they would like the longer video. So there are options there, and I'm glad those have been helpful.
We did that a few times, and Jim would back me up on this. We did do your church videos in the church video with the children's home, and I seen a very good response and a really good response and reaction, seeing the video, and then it will come up to either me or Jim and asking about it. So I think it'd be a good idea for churches to do that little short video, because I really think it, like you said, it's a virtual thing, to see it on the screen, yet we can't come see the home now because of COVID. But I think it really would help to people to see what we're doing as this is basically really a mission. So to help kids in need.
Good.
Very good.
Are there any other questions folks have? I want to be mindful of our time, and I said an hour, and by golly, we're about an hour. So I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for what you offer. I will stay on if anybody has questions afterwards, but I just thank you for what you do. Hopefully you leave our time today feeling more empowered to be in this role. Any questions you have, hopefully they were answered. I think one of the temptations in this role, especially if you're following somebody who had done this before or had done it really well, there's the temptation to feel like, oh, well, you know, Miss Jean did it this way, so I have to do it the way she did, or, you know, John did it this way, so I have to do it like he did. But hopefully this lets you know that whatever gifts you have, whatever you're passionate about, whatever your skills are, we want you to feel confident to make that fit with your church. Your church may have a bunch of retired educators. And so when you talk about the education component of the home, they get really excited about that. So maybe your efforts to promote the home center around the education, or maybe you have folks that work in child welfare. So you talk a lot about our residential program and some of the therapeutic stuff we're doing. We want you to feel confident to make this work with whatever your context is. So again, just on behalf of your home, thanks for all that y'all do. And with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Thanks, Ryan, for all you do.
Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.